I really appreciate you joining me today, and this story comes from London, and it's a big reminder of the dangers that are posed sometimes when you're out and about if something can happen. A man has been jailed for 4 years after he kidnapped and sexually assaulted a young woman in central London. Sharif Abbas, 31 years old from Haringey, was sentenced to 4 years for the sexual assault at Suffolk Crown Court on the 15th of July. He was found guilty on the 16th of December. The court heard that at 6 a.m. on the 16th of June 2019, a 19-year-old woman fell down a set of stairs as she walked onto a platform at Bond Street tube station, and she suffered a head injury and a broken wrist. She made her way to the platform and she was profusely bleeding from the head injury, and this exposed her skull. She sat down and Abbas approached the young woman and offered to help her. He led her out of the station and he put on a TFL high-vis vest, and this made her believe that he worked for the company. What would then happen would be terrifying for the young woman. Abbas had told the woman to wait for him, and he went to scout out an empty basement of a nearby building. He then brought the woman to the basement and told her he needed to examine her for her injuries, and it was at this point that he sexually assaulted her. Luckily for the woman, when Abbas had entered the building's basement, he had unknowingly triggered a silent alarm. The police attended to investigate the alarm and found that Abbas was with the injured woman, and they was in a covered walkway that wasn't visible to locals that were walking by. After the officers had entered the building, Abbas was stood next to the victim, and his hands were under her clothing and the flies of his jeans were undone. Abbas was arrested at the scene for sexual assault and taken to a North London police station. The victim was treated by London Ambulance Service and was taken to a West London hospital, where she underwent surgery for her broken wrist and received treatment for the head injury. During the interview, when Abbas was asked why he didn't press the emergency button on the platform and he chose to walk with the victim, he also walked past further emergency buttons as well, and he stated that it did not occur to him that when he was trying to help her. Also in the police interview, he said that he tried to call for an ambulance and he couldn't get a phone signal, and he also stated that the victim had asked him not to call for an ambulance, and this was not the case. In the 45 minutes that they were together, he had his phone to his ear throughout it, and he was caught on CCTV, but when they checked his phone, he'd made no call to 999 and didn't ask for any assistance. He initially said that he'd spoken to another man who said he would find bandages and first aid, but the CCTV of the building showed that he'd not come into contact with anybody else. They also stated that him wearing the high-vis vest stood out and made the woman believe that he worked for the train company. Detective Constable Nigel Packett said, "The young lady was targeted by Abbas and she was incredibly brave and determined to help with the investigation and the court proceedings. She no longer lives in the UK, but she was compelled to come back to Britain to take part in the trial to ensure that he was convicted. It was revealed that he had no medical training and there was no reason why he should have took the woman to the basement, and the sexual assault stood up in court." So this is a terrifying story of a man that has taken advantage. This was an opportunist attack, and he potentially could have got away with it if it wasn't for the fact that the woman was brave enough to actually stand up to him. So really appreciate you joining me for this story, and please leave a comment below on your thoughts and opinions on this, and I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Follow online as well at Scarcity Studios on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and